All right, baby. Episode 3, we are moving. So, episode 3 is nuts because a ton starts to happen. We start to unravel a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. We really haven't gotten anywhere yet, but it's starting to, boil over. So, we're getting a little bit. So, episode 3 mostly, I think, really all takes place in 1986. So we are introduced to Regina Tiedemann and her daughter Claudia Tiedemann, and we actually met Claudia because she, in the present, is the woman who runs the hotel, and she's married to Alexander, the head of the power plant, and she's also the mother of Bartush. So you got, like I said, there's characters, everything is just like so intertwined. So a character map really helps, but I may even mix up some of the characters' names, but I'm pretty good about knowing who's who at this point. So a lot of the episode is actually Mikkel like wandering around town. He goes home. He runs into technically his grandmother, Ulrich's mother, and she's obviously broken up because she lost her other son. So we're kind of seeing her go through that devastation. And then we see him go to school. So he runs into Ulrich and Katerina again. And Katerina, you kind of get the feeling after the second episode that she, had like a sense of, you know, I have a longing of some sort with you. But then when she runs into him in school, she's kind of a bitch and she like shoulders him like Ulrich did earlier. So that wasn't cool. And then he actually goes to the police station to see if his father is there because that's where Ulrich, his father, was a detective. Instead, he finds Regina Tiedemann's father, who is the chief of police, and he suspects that actually young Ulrich is behind like a little prank or he hurt Mikkel because he's kind of a troublesome teen at this time. And the police chief takes Mikkel to the hospital because he obviously can't figure out who his parents are or anything. And when he's at the hospital, he meets a nurse and yeah. So going back a little bit to Regina, the episode suggests Regina actually was having an affair with, believe it or not, Ulrich's father, who I don't think we ever get his name, but with Ulrich's father. And so you kind of see like this linear, almost like it's almost like genetic or something, where you have Ulrich cheating on Katerina with Hannah, and then you find out that his father cheated with Claudia or with Regina Tiedemann on his wife, and it's like, man, that makes more sense why Ulrich is cheating. I guess runs in the family. And then, but Regina's actually trying to break it off. She's like, I can't do this anymore. And he's like, I have to see you. Because he's going through shit. Remember, his child disappeared. So he is like, he's flailing. And then, so Regina Tiedemann is interesting because her story has like this. So she's like the first woman to be in charge of like this power plant. And she's just about to be promoted. But as she's like, about to step into that new role, she gets like this result of all these numbers and she's like, what, this isn't what we reported. So she goes and talks to the current president who promoted her and is like, I need to know what's going on. I said if there's any skeletons in the closet, you have to tell me about it. And so he finds, or he's like, I thought you could deal with this. And he's like, I'll show you. So he goes and they go around like to this secret back area, and it's like a restricted area, and she goes into this fence and she goes down like this rope in her heels and she walks through like this cave and she finds all these barrels of radioactive chemicals of some sort. So we don't really know, but it's like ominous music, so it means something terrible or something happened. And then actually near the end of the episode, the chief of police goes back to like this field where like 33 sheep just randomly died. And he kind of thinks Ulrich might be behind it, but it's just kind of one of those anomaly type events where there's no explanation. And so he goes back there later in the night to kind of look around, and then all of a sudden like a bird hits him in the head. And then birds start falling from the sky, just like dead birds just falling everywhere. So he goes and hides in his old car, and it kind of jumps around to different people in the city where you see The chief of police in present time, she's an important character, but I cannot remember her name. It's her younger version. She like picks up these dead birds, and like puts them in a fridge and like writes notes on them. And it actually does come to modern time because she in the present, it's happening in 1986 and it's happening in present where these lights are flickering and like birds are falling from the sky, so it's kind of flashing back and forth from 1986 to now. And it's kind of going from their older selves or their younger selves in the past to their current selves. So you kind of have to follow along that way, and that's why these reviews are really hard because it's like we're talking about a younger version and a present version of a lot of times multiple people. And then Mikhail sees like, because he's in the hospital and he sees like these lights flickering. He's like, oh man, something's happening. I have to get back to the cave. So he runs to the caves, and he's actually, it's kind of synonymous with like Ulrich in the present though, because like his father, there he's going into the caves at that same time, so they're both in the cave. And you think for a minute, oh maybe they're gonna find each other somehow. They're gonna like come back into the same time. But it doesn't really happen that way. Mikhail hurts his leg. Ulrich thinks he hears him. He never finds him. And then they both leave the cave at the same time, but it's in different times. So they're, sitting in the same spot, but it's, 1986 and like 2016 or whatever. And it's crazy. They do such a good job with like these parallels. And then the episode ends where we see an older man working on this device, this strange device in this wooden box with all these moving little metal configurations, and the episode ends. It's a great episode. The first 3 episodes are so good, but they start a little slow for where the show goes. So if you're not loving it yet, hang in there. By episode 4, after this next episode, you should be in love. So the review ran a little long tonight. Thanks for hanging with me. Once again, leave questions if you have any. It's very confusing, I understand. Let me know.